So Doctor Who The Timeless Children finished not too long ago here in the UK, and by the time this is uploaded, it'll have just finished in the States. And there seems to be a lot of buzz, both positive and negative, as usual for Doctor Who, around the revelations in the episode. If you haven't seen it, I'm going to discuss spoilers, so turn off if you don't want anything spoiled. Turns out that the Timeless Child, as alluded to in Series 11 and Series 12 of the modern run of Doctor Who, is the Doctor herself. And the Timeless Child is an individual from another planet or dimension whom the early Gallifreyans experimented on to learn the secrets of regeneration, something which her species apparently possessed. Meaning that Time Lord society is built upon the lie that they discovered and inherited all of their talents and traits. Turns out they actually butchered them from this child who was experimented on multiple times. Some heavy ideas there. It mostly affected the Master because the Master realised that part of him was always due to the Doctor, which meant that part of the Doctor, a person he despises, is in him, and that's why he destroyed Gallifrey, and la 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 la. And basically, it's a lot of fun if you've seen The Deadly Assassin to pick apart, but it's also fun if you've seen The Brain of Morbius, because this means that prior to the Doctor as we know him, or her, him and his first incarnation, there were loads of other Doctors. Well, there were loads of other incarnations of this individual. Something which seems to be getting really, really argued and debated and dissected over on Twitter is the notion of William Hartnell's incarnation of the Doctor not being the first Doctor anymore. And that's not true per se, because that could be the first version of the character to use the name the Doctor, and the first one to have the TARDIS that looks like the police box. And what this is confirming is that before that, because they also talk about, like, you see with Brendan in the Island storyline, people's memories being erased, and there's mention of that reverting them back to a child. So Hartnell, the first Doctor, who grew up in that barn and all that good stuff, still existed. This is just the first one that knows himself to be the individual that we know as the Doctor. But then there's Ruth, and this is where the arguments are getting convoluted. The Ruth incarnation of the Doctor, who we first met in Fugitive of the Judoon, who briefly reappears in this episode in The Matrix, in the 13th Doctor's sort of mind or projection into the Matrix. The Matrix, as we know, is at least in The Deadly Assassin, which this refers to a lot, part of that setup is there's also a containment of all the past incarnations of Time Lords, like a memory print of them, which is used to help develop further Time Lord technology and like a literal think tank. So this Ruth in the Matrix could just be a copy of Ruth's, that Doctor's incarnation's memory. Ruth refers to herself when we first meet her as the Doctor, and her TARDIS looks like a 1960s police box. So a lot of people are saying, wait a minute, that means she's pre-Hartnell, which means that Hartnell wouldn't be the first incarnation in that lineup of lives. Not necessarily true. They've established very muchly here that the regeneration limit is exclusive to Time Lords, but not to the Doctor. Makes the ending of the time of the Doctor a bit unusual. What did the Time Lords do to give him that? Was it just excess regeneration energy and he used it to attack the Daleks? Probably. That could be easily explained by that, I suppose. But it means that... So that's not a case of, like, Hartnell isn't really the second, third, fourth body or whatever. He's the first, but he's not. He's like the 4,000th or whatever, and that's fine. But why is she called the Doctor? Why does she have a 1960s police box as a TARDIS? This seems to be the thing that's getting people's feckles up. One common theory everyone keeps using is the police box image on the TARDIS's broken chameleon circuit happened in Totter's Lane. Please let me know in the comments if I'm wrong, but I don't recall any specific canon, and by canon I mean the TV series alone. I don't recall any specific bit of canon saying that is the year and destination it got stuck in. So we're not counting BBC audios, BBC books, New Virgin Adventures, Big Finish. We're not counting any of that in the TV series. Maybe in Attack of the Cybermen, maybe in Remembrance of the Daleks. I can't remember, but those two stories reference Totter's Lane and talk about the chameleon circuit. So maybe those stories have a confirmation that that is exactly when it got stuck as a TARDIS, as a police box. I don't know. If that's the case, if anything in the TV show is confirmed that 63 in Totter's Lane is where it got stuck like that, let me know in the comments. Anything else I don't count. I'm talking about the canon of the TV show. So, we see the Doctor getting in his Type 40 TARDIS for the first time in Name of the Doctor, and one of the Clara offshoots recommends a TARDIS capsule to him, which in itself contradicts the Doctor's wife a bit, but whatever. It's a Type 40. Its chameleon circuit is working. It is a blank spherical tube. So if the Ruth Doctor existed before Hartnell, the TARDIS wouldn't be a police box, would it? Why would it be a police box? Unless... Here's my idea. So, the TARDIS that the Doctor uses, that gets stuck as a police box, could very likely be the same TARDIS that he used when he was Ruth. Why? That's an old knackered TARDIS. Even when he nicks it, the Type 40 is old and knackered. Why would he nick an old knackered one? Oh, you'll have more fun. Yeah, but maybe it's because it was his before. It was already his TARDIS. What do you mean? That's when he runs away from Gallifrey. Ah, but Ruth is on the run from a Time Lords, who we now know as the Division. The Division are trying to round up Ruth with the assistance of the Jadoon to get her back because she's gone rogue. So what if the Doctor, as we know him and her from Hartnell onwards, is the second time this character adopted that moniker and that name? Ruth could be called the Doctor because the Timeless Child, let's just call them that, had already broken away from their regiment, had realised what the Division were doing to them and was jogging on and moving away. Hence why she's a lot more, abrasive. She snaps a lot more because she's like, you can't tell me what to do, wielding guns and this, that and the other. Maybe that's why. Maybe the first Doctor, as we know him, is just the first of this personality. And the Timeless Child was already becoming their own individual person. And the Doctor was the name. Maybe they chose that name before Hartnell. Maybe they hid out on Earth before, and that's why the TARDIS got stuck as a police box already. And these are things that the Doctor retains in the back of his or her mind after everything's reset, put back to a kid, memory erased. But why would they remember something? Why would these things steal away? Well, they wouldn't know it was their own TARDIS. Well, Clara told them, I guess, but maybe it is in the back of the head. But why the memory would be erased? Well, then who are those faces in the brain of Morbius? He probably dreamt about those faces, probably dreamt about those lives. We didn't see the 13th Doctor in Ascension of the Cybermen dreaming about Brendan and Ireland. We, the viewers, saw that, but we weren't told it was her specifically dreaming about it, and then she mentioned it in The Timeless Children. So it's very likely that over time, and the reason why the Doctor managed to kind of break away and become their own person, and become the Doctor, is because something in the back of their head was always telling them to go. Something was always telling them to leave, knowing what had been done to them, but not knowing it all the same. So that's my theory. The first Doctor, William Hartnell performed incarnation, is the first of this character we have been following. But this character probably formed before that version of them was formed, hence Ruth, and hence probably a few others that call themselves the Doctor. Why is the TARDIS the same? Why is it already a police box? Hartnell possibly re-nicked the same one. Because we never see it on screen disguised as anything else, do we? Or maybe the previous one got stuck that way, and somewhere in the back of his head he had a fondness for it, and that was one disguise, and then it got stuck. Who knows? These things can be explained away. As the Timeless Children demonstrated, canon can be smashed to pieces. And for a show that's such a breadth, a show that is as wide and reaching as Doctor Who is, it's refreshing. It's refreshing to know that, hey, not everything you know is everything there is to know. But what are your thoughts down below? Do you think I'm sort of likely correct in my theory, the idea that we have the Doctor that we know, and then for a bit they were also the Doctor before that? and this is just them carrying on a distant memory? Do you think the Ruth Doctor fits in somewhere else? Let me know down below. What I don't want you to let me know down below, and I ask this politely, is I don't want to know your opinion on this series and this era, be it good or bad. I just want to know what you think of the theory. Because one thing that's really putting me off of engaging with, not my subscribed audience specifically, but to Doctor Who fandom at large, one thing that's putting me off it is how nasty this fan base has become either way. People who love it and people who hate it. There's a lot of people like myself who just enjoy it and want to love it and sometimes don't, who remember that it is ultimately, as inspirational as it can be, just a TV show. It's a TV show to be watched by families, aimed at kids, that is there to make us go, oh, that was good, or I didn't enjoy that one as much this week. Yes, it can be more, but at its core, that is all it is. And that starts fights. Like, that starts fights. I don't care about that. I don't care about your opinion on it. I don't care about what you think I just said as a description of the TV show. I'm just curious about your theories. Sorry to be that kind of like pithy and specific, but it's exhausting talking to this fandom sometimes, and I just want to know what you think of the idea, not what you thought of the series. And if anyone uses the word woke in a comment, your argument is immediately irrelevant. Okay, let me know what you think down below. Bye!